Paisano. I saw Rafael Hernandez for the first time one afternoon on my way to class. He was in the corridor on the second floor of McLaughlin Hall, emptying a trash can into a cleaning cart, which held a trash bag, a sponge, and toilet supplies. It reminded me of the cart I used when I cleaned the gas company in Santa Maria. Hello, I said. He grinned and nodded. He had coppery skin, brilliant dark eyes, dark cheekbones, and thick, straight black hair. After that day, we exchanged greetings every time we saw each other, but we did not meet until one Sunday morning at the mission church. I was attending Mass when I spotted him sitting a few pews in front of me. After the service ended, I went up to him and introduced myself. He recognized me, but seemed tense and reserved. When I spoke in Spanish and told him that my father was from the state of Jalisco in Mexico, his eyes lit up. Nuestros padres son paisanos, he said, smiling. Our fathers are fellow countrymen. My father was born in Lagos de Moreno. We strolled through the mission gardens, talking in Spanish about our families and work. He said that he had recently started working as a janitor at Santa Clara after having worked in the fields picking fruits and vegetables in the San Joaquin Valley and Salinas. When I told him that I too had worked in the fields and as a janitor, he was surprised. The lines etched on his brow became more pronounced. How did you manage to go to college? He asked. I got some scholarships and loans, and my family has made many sacrifices for me to be here. You're so lucky to have those opportunities here, he said. It's a lot more difficult in Mexico. When we arrived at my dormitory, he pointed out that he lived only 2 blocks away, in a small house. From that day on, we chatted a few minutes every time we ran into each other. He was born and raised in Paredones, a tiny village near Guadalajara, Mexico. When his father died, he dropped out of school and took a job to help his widowed mother to make ends meet. Rafael and his mother took a long bus ride every day to go work for a wealthy rancher. She worked as a maid and he as a ranch hand. Eventually, Rafael got married and started his own family. He had 2 children, a boy and a girl. When he lost his job and his wife became gravely ill, he decided to leave his wife and 2 children under his mother's care and head for the United States, hoping to find work to pay for his wife's medical expenses and support his family. He took a bus to Juarez and, with the help of a coyote, crossed the border to El Paso. From there, he made his way to San Joaquin Valley, to Salinas, and then to Santa Clara. Several weeks after we first met, he invited me to his home, which was a rented room in a small white wooden house located on a corner street. He said he had something to tell me and a gift to give me. The entrance was on the south end of the white wooden structure. Aquí tiene su casa, he said, welcoming me and offering a wooden chair for me to sit on. The room had no windows and a sweaty and salty odor. In the back corner was a small kitchen table. On top of it were an electric hot plate and 2 dented pots and a pan. Underneath it was an aluminum wash basin and a stack of canned foods, soft drinks, and a box of macaroni. A calendar with a picture of the Virgin de Guadalupe hung above his cot, which was pushed against the wall. A wooden crate full of books and magazines with a Del Monte label was next to his bed. He sat on a 3-legged wooden stool to the right of the entrance. As usual, he wore khaki pants and a blue long-sleeved cotton shirt, slightly open at the neck. I am glad you came here. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to you. Leaving? Why? I was shocked and disappointed. I'm going back to Paredones. I miss my family and my country. I've been sending money home every month to pay the doctor, and thank God, my wife has recovered. Life is too hard for us in this country. There are people here who think that we Mexicans are no more than animals. In Texas, I saw signs in restaurants that said no Mexicans or dogs allowed. It's humiliating. Yes, it is. His words reminded me of Diaz, a labor contractor I had known. He tried to force a bracero to pull a plow like an ox, and when he refused, the contractor had him deported back to Mexico. But we endure it for the sake of our children, he said, with a spark in his eyes. He crossed himself 3 times and added, and thanks to the Virgin de Guadalupe, the good Jesuit priest at Santa Clara, I'm now able to return home and be with my family. I was happy for him and glad his wife was fine now, but sad to see him go. He stood up, went to the Del Monte box and picked up a worn book and handed it to me as a gift. Thank you very much, I said, glancing at the title, La Patria Perdida, wonder why the author named it The Lost Homeland. A good friend of mine gave me this novel and begged me not to come to the United States. She said that our father died in the desert trying to cross the border, and she did not want me to have the same fate. The author lived in San Antonio, Texas, a few years, and while he lived there, he experienced discrimination, and like me, he missed his homeland. He wrote about this in his novel, so when you read it, think of me. I will. It's a great gift. Thanks again, I said. We said goodbye and promised each other to keep in touch. I never saw or heard from him again, but I felt grateful for having known him. He helped me to better understand my father's own yearning for his homeland and his long-held dream of returning to Mexico with our whole family.